video in English language, the preview of German Bundesliga 1 and 2, especially bet-wise, as we would like to see some more good bets. You may keep in mind that we are doing pretty okay with. We had been winning 11.49% of the turnover, 1 unit per bet, and just single bet 17.809 total units. So that looks okay so far. So anyone that had been following the bet so far should be pretty happy about it. I'm not doing any prognosis for the future, as we may lose all these units back again, or we build on it. We do not know. Of course, I'm trying to make, as usual, I'm trying to make some good bets and justify them well with this table we usually follow. We have the opportunity. You can pause the video and pick out your teams and check how well they played. You may notice here that, for example, Hoffenheim or Augsburg, so far Augsburg played the worst. So far Hoffenheim second worst, and that actually Paderborn played well, even better than, for example, Hertha or so. Bayern and Dortmund are still top. They both did not play quite to their expected level. They are still the best, and third I think is Leverkusen, who played better than expected. I may have explained that I was a bit wrong maybe, and I was a bit skeptical, but they were there to convince me that they are a lot better, which they've done. I'm not adjusting the figures here, but 1.5 points per game, they are better, is not that massive yet, but you can say they are better. Frankfurt, for example, are a lot better than expected, because I didn't expect them to cope with these loss of three top players, of their top players that they built their success upon last season, qualifying for Europe, and so on. Gladbach and Wolfsburg do not belong here. We got these indicators that tell you which team you might be willing to support, but this still depends on what market thinks about it. We got the goal average, which is just showing you maybe that I'm within range somewhere. We had some fewer goals recently, although it's still more than, well, it's around the area of last season now, somewhere around that. Home sides are not taking their chances so well. We had this problem and we discussed it. They stepped up a bit, they improved a bit recently. Away sides are taking their chance better than expected. You have to watch the light green here. Expected 1.43. They should have scored just 1.39, which is less than that, but they scored a lot better. So it's easier to play on the road and to play away from home, and it's easier to convert your chances on the break, which may be sad for football, but it's the way it's played right now, and we are just statisticians to this end, and we try to squeeze out something out of market where it may get wrong. So we just don't care for the football, or if we even enjoy it or like it the way it's played. But let's forget about this. Now those are the games. Here are the bets. It's not a lot that's indicated, which also in some sense makes me happy, because when I have lots of contradictions, I can say, well, maybe your figures are not so good. If you have no contradiction, you can say, okay, I'm fine with market, I'm getting everything right. Of course, I don't know what I can make a living of, but still, if there is agreement, I can't. Okay, I have to change my business maybe, but I've done a good job. If market would tend to trust me more or less, so I'm driving the market, I'm steering it, or whatever the best term for that is. That they look, okay, this is his prices, this is his evaluations, okay, we're gonna take that. Anyone at the market also, then I could also be happy, although I may not continue the business or something like that. I have to make a different business. But I'm also happy if there's not a lot of indications because I say somehow my figures are confirmed and my whole work is somehow confirmed by market, by bulk intelligence, if you want so. But you can also say, well, it just happens. Sometimes it is like that, and there's not a lot that market could go wrong with, and so we have to wait. We just have to wait. The bets will come. We have this Union indication once again, which goes against Bayern Munich, and you do not like these kind of bets going against the heavy favorites. Neither would you with a bet on Union for 25.0 or whatever you get, or nor would you like to have this Asian handicap where it's actually balancing the chances, so it should be around 50% that you win it or you lose it, but you do not like it because you say, well, okay, once the scoring starts, they wouldn't stop, or would they? And what are Union trying for, and where is my money going, because they don't care for my needs at all. So all kinds of senses to not like this bet. It's a technical one where you rather go bicycle cycling and look at the result later. You do not watch the game because, well, if Hoffenheim, like as they did 2 weeks ago, and also Augsburg last week, that have stolen Bayern some points in some sense, then you can say, well, I could watch it, but then you could also regret, why didn't I go for X2 or the Hoffenheim win or something like that, because I would have had a much better reward for that. And then it pays watching, because you can say, well, will they survive this? And it's 2-1 now, and I get an 18.0 or whatever it is on Hoffenheim, and that's a lot for little. And you do not worry so much if you lose the bet, but if you win it, you're very, very happy and proud. Anyway, Union, not a great one. Going along with this under, which is just a technical bet, more or less, if you want so, or you leave it. Make up your mind which one you like. We had been doing okay last 2 weeks, although that 2-2 that Augsburg scored with the last kick of the game, more or less, which was actually harmful, because actually we were on under, and the plus 2.25 was a winner anyway. Hoffenheim, well, okay, so Union and Bayern are the ones you can happily neglect and forget about, and Hoffenheim is a bet which seems to be okay according to the figures. But on the other hand, you can say, well, Hoffenheim are the one side you want the least, right? Because you say they are no good, but Hertha are also not that good and not this much better. And also you can argue very well that Hoffenheim did beat Bayern. They did draw in Leverkusen, and they did draw in Wolfsburg. So, I mean, why would they be afraid? They drew here, which is one of the top sides. You can see that, third best in a certain sense. And they won here at the best side, and they drew at the second place side. So, I mean, why would they be afraid? That's the last 3 away games. And Hertha did beat Paderborn and did beat Düsseldorf at home, but they are more or less around the worst, although Düsseldorf did play quite well, but no one would notice. They are considered to be one of the worst, which also the computer or myself thought before the season, but now they showed me they are better. But also Paderborn, I mean, they played well also in Berlin, where Hertha were lucky, but still you would say, well, Paderborn, anyone would beat them. So these 2 wins do not count as much as the 3 draws that or the 3 unbeaten games that Hoffenheim played on the road recently. So, and we got the under 3 indicated. You can say, well, Hoffenheim did survive all these 0-0, Leverkusen 1-1, Wolfsburg 1-2, Bayern, which was a different line, but still the under wouldn't have been lost. So you can well argue, my figures are okay. There's not a lot of margin in that one, and so you can also forget about it. I'm not going through the games game by game. There's not a single one. I checked them really carefully, and there's not a single one that I can, by any reason or well, with a clear conscience, I can advise to put in to add into the bet of list of bets or whatever. It's no good reason at all to even think about one more. I mean, do you like the games? Okay, you may like Schalke Dortmund, but would you like to have a bet? I would say anyway, I don't want one. It's not even close to being something indicated. There's no point at all in even looking at them. I may have wished to take Paderborn, but market fully agrees. No, Werder Bremen, no, we would like to support Leverkusen, but it doesn't work out at all. And so on. It's in every single game. There's a lot of reason to just stay away from. And so we are going to do that, and I'm not going to explain you why. If we look at the second Bundesliga, we got a few more bets, and maybe it's good enough to just to justify those figures here. Bochum, for example, if I suggest that they play in Kiel. Kiel is not the side we want to go against. We can check that up here in the table because Bochum played well and played a lot better than expected. Fine, but the same holds true for Kiel. So and they were one of the they played even better than Bielefeld so far. And so we had all reason not to go against Kiel as well. But still, market is making it too heavy a line. And if you want to, I mean, half a goal means the regular line would be 0.25 for a home side. That's what over the years now, or recent years, or it's somewhere around there. Okay, but this season it's clearly less. It's I don't know, but it's 0.12 or something like that. I'm not checking that, but it's less than that. So how on earth would Kiel be so much better that you have half a goal? And if you look at the price you pay, if you play a side plus half a goal, then you pay a price on the other side, and what you pay here is 2.13, let's say, because you have to divide this by one minus the reverse reciprocal of that, and then 1 divided by this, and so on. So you get out 2.13, something like that. It's if you do this here, that's 2.02. Here it's going up a bit, 2.12 it would be if you just take the difference to 2, but it would be 2.13 because the lower you go, the bigger it goes on the other side. But 2.13, the average price expected was 2.33 for a home win, but the price that had been realized by home side, that's 2.57. That's the true price you had to pay on a home side, the true average price to be even. So 2.57 or 2.33, somewhere between there, and you pay 2.13. So you got a lot of space for error or for, it's just the computer likes it. I can only say, well, I do not want to play against Kiel, but given that, I have to. So it's not a pleasant bet, but I have to do it, and I have to propose it here as well. If I have Karlsruhe draw no bet, they take on Hanover, and I wouldn't, why? Well, it's an even game. Okay, I do not want home sides. Okay, but it's a draw no bet, so I'm not that worried, which means as well, we are not having the favorite. Usually, when you take a home side, we don't want to, but we would have a favorite at home because they are all the same level, and so you have a home side. It should be a favorite. If it's a favorite, the favorite cannot show they are favorites. Yesterday, I saw an analysis where they said, well, from all the teams, like 18 games in which one side had 68 or more percentage, and just 6 of them could win. So all this possession doesn't mean anything. So they do start to notice that it's not any kind of, you even don't want to have the ball. It doesn't pay. You don't. And also the other stats, if they would start to notice, they don't help you a lot. You can have the ball, you can have the corners, you can have crosses, you can have shots. You don't score a goal. The others do. Because you open up more and more, and one chance on the break, and this is the big one. That's the one you have been waiting for, and that's what's happening at the moment. So we don't want Karlsruhe, but we could also say we don't want home sides, but rather we don't want favorites, and Karlsruhe are not a favorite. So it's an even game. We get 1.98. Okay, it's not a good bet, so it's just you can say no edge in this one, so you can happily skip it. But it's just indicated, and there's of course not so much reason to say when the one side in 10th place and play one in 12th place. Well, why would they be here? I mean, for some reason they got to be here. And of course, you can say they've been very unlucky, they've been very lucky, which is the case partly, but it's not by this much. I mean, it's just a regular table of teams that all play at one level. But I do not have very good reason to say that, to argue in favor of that. If we take Regensburg, we can say a bit more like that. We can say it is a derby, Regensburg and Nuremberg, that's just 89 kilometers apart. But are they going to travel? They may. It doesn't mean that much these days. But we just paid 2.03 this time on the home side, which is even less than the 2.13 here. And where's the big difference here? I mean, it's the same thing. Market says they are big names, they are good. Okay, I accept that Regensburg didn't play so well, do not belong here, everything's fine. But still, they are here, they are here. And now you say they are the much, much better side. And they are the home side, and they are gonna, I mean, market is just a bit wrong on that, but still we do not even have a huge edge because I don't want to have Regensburg. I just have to take the away side in this case. In Wien, it's more or less 3 bets of the very, very same kind, because also Wien, they are not that good. They didn't play so well, not as good as I expected, but they are also not on 8 points but 11.6. So that's quite regular. While Sandhausen are a good side, I expected them to be good. They are even better. So I'm not really tending to take Wien here. It's not an indication like that, but it's an away side. That's what all we can see here as well. I think in this ranking we can check this one because this is the home ranking, right? And here we want Wien to be red, negative, which means they are better on the road. And we rather would like to have Sandhausen -2, which they aren't, they are just neutral. But somehow we have this on our side as well. They are, well, not a home side, not an away side, okay, but they are rather an away side. It's just a little point we have extra for that. It's the same kind of very small advantage. It is the edge or the advantage, the value you have in this bet is very small. And it's just going on the away side problem, which market did not really react to. But we also have had a slight kind of correction in the last match day, so adjustment. So home sides did do a little better recently, which may be an indication that market had not been wrong. I'm not overreacting. I'm taking my figures here. For all those 4 bets, I do not have excellent reason. I can only say it's always the same. Well, Karlsruhe is not, but those 3 at least, and Karlsruhe I do not really like. I just put it here, and I'm gonna. Well, okay, let's go. It's just a small edge, which was more or less going on that away side problem. Or I mean, did I show this here? Away sides have done the same thing here. Home sides could not take their chances, although they produced more, which is just underlining what I said before. 1.64 expected, 1.70, so they produced more and converted less, clearly less, 1.51 per game. If you can read that, if you can't, you can still listen. 1.34 away had been expected, 1.36, it's a bit different to Bundesliga 1. They should, but a little more, but this is more or less fine. They scored 1.41, so it's a bit easier to score on the road, which is still true even if there was this small kind of correction recently. Adjustment, more or less. About the over-under, I can't say this much bad or good about them. We could check the profiles, or we could do the naive fallacy, or we look here. It's neutral goal performance, so the goals had been there. We had this 4-3. We had Darmstadt with many chances on top of that, which is shown in the profile. Or you can even check it up here. So if you pause the video here, you can always check, did they perform like over or under? Here you see goals for expected, 13.82. Chances, goals for should, so they created a little more for 14.11 goals. So this is 0.23, 0.33, 0.29, sorry, goals more. But in conceding in defensive, they were very open. And 16.39 I was expecting, and 18.87 they should have conceded, which is far away from this. So you can say this is kind of a hidden over. And this you can do for every such bet and double check them there. If it's indicated, I can check it like that, or can just say, well, I know I can trust my figures, so they are working well. I'm still checking it, and I still because I'm also interested in football more or less and in statistics, so I'm gonna check that. Kiel Bochum is an under, not by much. Goal performance is slightly gain against it, so I wouldn't have this much good reason. 4.91 is not that much. I stick to it here. It's more or less old, and you do agree. So I say, well, let's go. And Bochum had been the oversight, very very good, but at home, where they had been massive. 2-2, 3-3, 2-2, 3-3, or something like that. They were drew all 5 games, and always in the rhythm 2-2 and 3-3. So many goals, and a lot fewer away. So you can take that as a given or indication why you would like the under. Hamburg Stuttgart, we have well indicated the under. Goal performance is going along, and we have this extra little extra for us. If 2 of the top sides meet, there is usually, they are a bit more over than the others, because if you have a somewhat bigger edge over the others, then this is usually reflected in a little more goals. So they are both considered to be slightly over in some sense. That's usually what top sides do. If they meet each other, that's going to neutralize to average. It is what the computer says and what makes mathematically perfect sense. And it's just, I'm trying to explain why these figures come out and why it is justified. And so we have a well indicated under here, and goal performance is going along, and this third more reason is on our side, so we can be quite trustful in that, although I'm never going to say this is going to happen. I mean, it's just an indicated under. I'm going to go for it, and I have thousands of bets I'm doing here, and one is lost, and the other one is won. And in Nuremberg, Regensburg, we have an under indicated very slightly by the old system, which rather goes on the goals. I can show you once why the computer would somehow like the under here. Because in Nuremberg there are plenty of goals coming. This is the gray line. This is saying goals, which is over 3.5. And the red line, which stands for the effort, is very low. So I'm going to check here. And I say, okay, they are on underside. No matter if there are many goals, okay, I can say at some point, okay, most likely defensive errors or bad goalkeeper, or what could it be? Or also a fantastic striker, it's Marek Minter, something like that. Someone who's just throwing the goals or something like that. But usually it's just by coincidence it's going to happen. And in Regensburg, at least we have the goals, but we also have a red one, which is above average, which says, okay, you can be happy. I mean, they are an over in some sense, right? Oh, do we want over or do we want under? No, sorry, I'm getting confused now. Well, if the under is indicated, I could say, well, okay, let's check this one once again. We have an under because the red one is very low and the gray one is high. So this is getting market is misleading to the punters or the bulk intelligence, because they do not notice that there are not these many chances. Okay, here we have the goals, but at least, even though it is slightly an oversight, which is different to Nuremberg, but they are slightly an oversight, but it went down, you can also say, but forget about this one, but it's on average level, they play, it's a bit more than expected, but at least it's pretty, I could say, regular. So we have kind of, I mean, you can also say, well, if the over were indicated, I could well argue in this direction, but here I could say it is just pretty regular. Slightly above 3, okay, that's fine. It is where we go. But this would be under 3. Anyway, the profiles would somehow underline that, but you should rather go on the Nuremberg and trust that. The old system would not know about those hidden chances, so the better conversion that happened in Nuremberg games. It would just take the goals. But if it's still indicated there, very slightly, but at least it's not saying you're wrong. So then I got all reason to check the under and then to say, well, if the old system that just takes in the many goals that had been coming and still saying under 3.25, that is just a bit too much. Okay, then I can happily check that, and I can agree that the new system would say below that, which makes perfect sense in view of the profile. The goal performance, of course, would confirm that there had been many goals, which I agree. Which is, of course, a kind of a counter indication, because you can't say that all happening by coincidence. Or you do say you accept my approach. But on the other hand, we can always be a bit scared that something is wrong there, either in defensive or in offensive, which I haven't seen. So in that sense, it's fine. I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm okay. I've done enough work now all week, and I'm gonna have a break now. Thanks a lot for watching, and leave your, well, you can subscribe for free, you can leave comments if you dislike or like something, or what you would like to see, and of course, any comments are welcome, and if you share it somewhere, okay, you're very welcome.